right, good morning. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Trying to give you your Lions Talk Live update for the morning. As we all know, the Lions made some additional moves yesterday. Michael Badgley's back with the team. Riley Patterson's not great end of the preseason. I think the Lions said, hey, we're going to have to try to make it a move to address some things. There had been some talk that he might be a potential trade target with some other teams for a kicker. That still may come to fruition. Like we talked about yesterday, Prater might be on the way back if they can pull that off, work on some salary. But Badgley is a familiar face. I get you all know who he is, so I won't bother you a lot. A lot of you reached out yesterday and said, hey, what's up with Mike Evans or some of the other trade talk? So what I can find out, here's where we at currently with that. It's just both teams are still too far apart. Take this for a grain of salt, because my speculation here. A year ago at this time, Lions Talk Live, I think it was about, 10 days or so before the trade went down, but it seems to be the same setup that we did with TJ Hawkinson, that we seem to be doing with Mike Evans and potentially other wide receivers. Brad Holmes has a target out there. He wants to achieve this. Teams aren't willing to come to that, then he just waits them out. I think he's great at what he does. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, a year ago at this time, I guess it wasn't exactly this time, but you get the idea. The Vikings didn't want to give the Lions exactly what they ended up giving. They wanted to give up less for TJ Hawkinson. Brad Holmes said, fine, we're not moving him. A couple more days went on. Obviously, a deal was reached. Vikings agreed to come up to Brad Holmes' asking price. Brad Holmes is very much the godfather of the boardroom. So what that means is he tells people, this is my deal, take it or leave it. And I'm going to make you a deal you can't refuse. I believe that's really going on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs, as we know, started off wanting a second-round pick. Now they've come down to a third-round pick and wanting other considerations. So it's my belief Brad Holmes is just saying, you know what? Here's our offer. Eventually, they're going to come down to it, or we're just going to move on to somebody else. So is Mike Evans still a real possibility for the Detroit Lions? Yes, he is. Is Brad Holmes saying, hey, I'm desperate and going to move up to give you what you're asking for? Nah, he's not going to do that. So it's still going to be a little bit, I think, before this potentially could happen. But understand this, if this trade does go down, it's going to be because Brad Holmes got it at his terms. Now, moving on to night, I'm sure we all seen it yesterday. Later in the day, Lions did bring in the running back. This kid can play without question. Is he better than Craig Reynolds? I think you're kind of splitting hairs a little bit, but yes, I think he is overall an upgrade from Craig Reynolds. And we talked about it last week before Craig was released. I thought that would be a possibility. Some offensive lineman moves and all that stuff is starting to take place. Where this puts the Lions, I think we will see a few more, subtle moves potentially before the weekend passes. But at this point, we're a week away from Kansas City. All eyes need to be focused on that. And I know Brad Holmes doesn't want to do too many transactions prior to that one. Think about this, though. After the Kansas City game, the Lions more or less have a bye going into that weekend. They're going to have a real nice stretch, basically 10 days to prepare for Seattle. So if we don't have something really firm on the board as far as a trade, new kicker coming in, whatever it may be, going into this weekend, next weekend sets up as a potential real nice setup for Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions to pull off another addition or two, if need be, going into that Seattle game. And I will say this, I think the Seattle game, as far as the Lions' perspective, is a very big game, because two teams that, one made it to the playoffs, the other one denied the Lions, obviously, the chance to go to the playoffs. So that's going to be a real good competition right there. Anyways, it's 1 week until the season kicks off. Hope you're all having a good day. If any breaking news happens today, I'll jump back on. But otherwise, we'll see you all next time on Lions Talk Live. Take care.